saw a mark on the pyramid wall. It was the same mark I saw in the sky when I said goodbye to the Coco. What could it mean?
There are no definite records in the cyberspace archives, but it appears the ancients worshipped it as the symbol of a god. Perhaps the god of the ancients depicted by the wall markings still exists out there today.
What's important to understand is that this symbol is not meant to be unsolvable. It has a meaning. When asked about this mysterious symbol, Izuka replied, "It is a symbol that will appear in-game, but its meaning is still a secret. However, I can say that it does not have a meaning that can be understood by common reasoning. I think I can talk about the details soon, so please, wait a little longer." And so you waited and waited. The game released, the DLC released, and yet this symbol remained a mystery. A symbol that was highlighted during the first ever teaser of Sonic Frontiers. A symbol that makes an appearance everywhere throughout the entire game and its promotional material. Yet it is a symbol left unsolved. It took countless days of research, rewatching cutscenes, and reanalyzing what the entire point of Sonic Frontiers even was. But we did it. We know what this symbol means. And now, so will you. All it took was a little mythology and flipping the symbol upside down. Let us begin. We all know that the names of the Starfall Islands, Kronos, Ares, Chaos, Rhea, and Ouranos, took inspiration from a certain mythology, Greek mythology, as all 5 names are based on Greek primordial beings. Kronos, leader of the Titans, Ares, Greek god of war, and so on. But why? Why Greek mythology? Originally, we thought it was nothing more than inspiration. But the deeper we looked, the more we realized that Sega was not only inspired by Greek mythology when making Frontiers, they also used it as a guide. And so we did as well. And it was through Greek mythology that we not only managed to uncover the meaning of this symbol, but also the origins of the Chaos Emeralds and the truth behind the end. The 3 greatest mysteries of Sonic Frontiers have been solved.
They believed in a god even with all of this amazing technology? I didn't expect that.
I'm so used to using the Chaos Emeralds, it's kind of hard to accept they're from space.
All the teeming chaos of creation brought to order to nothing.
The markings in the sky are a clear and observable phenomenon, and cannot be the manifestation of a miracle.
The Chaos Emeralds are still pretty mysterious, even after all we've done with them.
No matter what form I take, the end comes for you all.
So what did Izuka say about that symbol again? I can say that it does not have a meaning that can be understood by common reasoning. Well, perfect. We clearly never rely on common reasoning. At least not half the time. To make a good theory, you gotta have a little bit of sense and a little bit of nonsense. Just like we had when researching this symbol. This was our brain. The first half used weird, nonsensical, uncommon reasoning,
Oh, come on!
A predictable choice.
while the second half used common reasoning.
Superiority proven.
You're making me look bad.
Now, the first half looked at the symbol and squinted its eyes and went, "Hey, doesn't this kind of look like..." No, stop, wait. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood! Has nothing to do with Sonic, we know, but the concept of Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood the alchemy still has nothing to do with Sonic, but stay with us! We thought that maybe this symbol looked like an alchemical symbol. And out of every alchemical symbol we could research, one in particular caught our eyes. Orichalcum. But what's most interesting is that when you take a look at the alchemical symbol for orichalcum and flip it on its head, notice the Z-like shape on the left, followed by a line that separates a big circle. you get the oh-so-elusive symbol of the ancients.
Your statements are illogical.
You're a poor sport, Sage!
I will show you just how threatening I can be.
Meanwhile, our common reasoning knew that this symbol was meant to represent some sort of god that the ancients praise.
There are no definite records in the cyberspace archives, but it appears the ancients worshipped it as the symbol of a god.
This is the only clear information we've ever gotten about this symbol in-game. But this dialogue just so happens to take place on Oranos Island, the final island in Frontiers, but specifically the version of Oranos present in the Final Horizons DLC. This tells us that the developers of the game knew that we as the fans couldn't figure out what the heck this symbol meant in the base game alone.
Have I given you a clue? No.
So they added this in the DLC to help nudge us in the right direction by specifically referring to this symbol as a symbol of a god. With this revelation taking place specifically in Oranos, we saw this as less of pure happenstance and more of a hint that the Greek god Oranos and this symbol were somehow connected. And that's where Greek mythology comes in. And sorry if we mispronounced any of the gods' names.
I think you even mispronounced the word mispronounced just now.
As aforementioned, every island in this game is named after a Greek mythic figure. Kronos takes its name from the Titan Kronos, who overthrew his father and ruled over ancient Greece. Ares Island comes from Ares, the Greek god of war and courage. Chaos Island is an island that we'll come back to later, because this island's inspiration gives us a huge implication on where Sonic's story might go. Rhea Island takes the name Rhea, a Greek titan and mother goddess of fertility. And Oranos Island takes inspiration from Oranos, the Greek primordial god of the sky. But he wasn't just god of the sky, he was believed by the Greeks to be the literal spirit of the sky itself. And the first time we see the symbol in-game, or whenever the Coco pass away, the symbol of the ancients' god always appears in the sky.
Just as I calculated.
But what the heck does any of this have to do with alchemy, with orichalcum? Well,
My mental acuity so far surpasses your own that I doubt you can perceive how stupid that question sounds.
Keep the trash talk to a minimum, please.
when we put our uncommon and common reasonings together, the Greeks also imagined that the entire sky, and by extension Oranos, was made of solid brass, specifically orichalcum.
Aha! Unexpected! Where did I miscalculate?
The symbol of orichalcum, otherwise known as the symbol of Oranos, the god of the ancients. Izuku was right. Not common reasoning, but reasoning nonetheless.
And the crowd goes wild! Yay!
An acceptable outcome within expected parameters. Why does he try to help them when their fate is already decided?
Sonic, they act like none of that happened.
Do we even know what that was?
They say this was the last of the defensive measures.
Ages ago, my people were wiped out by a cataclysm. I know the Coco faced something similar.
Countless lives,
Hello?
all fell to me.
He is aware of what the Coco are, isn't he?
No, but I got a sense of
Completion.
comfort.
They were finite.
This is where the ancients would gather to simply be together, to cherish those who were left, so they would never be truly gone.
They were reunited, right before the end.
They're together now. You take a minute. I'm gonna keep moving.
So why is it that this symbol only appears whenever death is present? To many who've played Frontiers, it's because this somewhat solemn symbol meant the afterlife. And we think that's exactly right. For all that Orenos was, he was sometimes even depicted as the personification of heaven. But then, what about Sage? Why did this symbol appear for her? In the Final Horizons ending, she lives on to be with her father, while in the original, she passes away. But her grieving father wouldn't stand for her sacrifice, and so, somehow, through a combination of machinations and miracles, she was brought back to life.
Father?
That's my girl.
Maybe, when looking at Orenos' role as giver of first life in Greek mythology, this symbol, if referring to him, could also be read as a symbol of life. For it was through Orenos' union with Gaia, the Greek goddess of earth, that the first of life was created. So maybe that's why the symbol reappeared for the revival of everyone's favorite hedgehog-hating, tear-inducing cinnamon bun. But Devi, but Darks.
We don't believe you! You claim Greek mythology solves it all!
I thought my jokes were bad.
Well, this whole Greek mythology thing is a stretch to begin with. You may be typing in the comments. And its quote-unquote inclusion in Sonic Frontiers is nothing more than a couple of cool references at best.
And to that we say, consider Professor Tori. It's interesting how in the 11th Tales tube we finally get the reveal of the mysterious pink-haired lady that first appeared way back when Frontiers was getting leaked prior to the game's launch. Many thought she would play a major role in Sonic Frontiers, known as Sonic Rangers at the time, before its official reveal and release. But others thought it seemed pretty unlikely and that she was meant to tie in with Sonic Unleashed in some way, especially since she was rendered right next to existing character designs from Unleashed. So, when Frontiers came out, we all played through the game, Tori was nowhere to be seen, and as far as we were concerned, Unleashed and Frontiers had nothing to do with each other. But what if we told you they do? In the Tales tube, it was Tori who revealed that it was the Ancients who made up the first great civilization, a still ongoing mystery first introduced in Sonic Battle, and more on that later because we may know where the Sonic franchise is taking that mystery. In her office, we can even see a strange stone tablet with words written on it in the Ancients' language. An item you can actually fish for in Big's fishing minigame in Frontiers. Anywho, we all thought that Tori wasn't connected to Frontiers at all, but turns out it is her who's been studying the Ancients from Frontiers all along! But at the same time, she just so happens to be a professor at Spagonia University, introduced in Sonic Unleashed. It's thanks to Tori, and Hatsune Miku,
Hatsune Miku!
that Sonic Unleashed has been seemingly made relevant again. Why is this important? Well, Professor Tori's first and only appearance thus far is her talking about only the Ancients from Frontiers and the Gaians from Unleashed. And Sonic Unleashed was the first time the Sonic franchise took inspiration from Greek mythology. We can't help but think that this is the Sonic franchise trying to tell us that the Ancients may take inspiration from Greek mythology as well. Unleashed introduces Light Gaia and Dark Gaia, two deities inspired from none other than Gaia, the aforementioned Greek goddess of the Earth. In Greek mythology, it is the union of Orenos and Gaia that creates the first of life, the Titans. And in Frontiers, the Ancients, who praise a god inspired by Orenos, came to Earth, home to Light and Dark Gaia, and then create the Titans. Gaia and Orenos were credited as the beginning of everything in the Greek mythological timeline. Similarly, in the official Sonic timeline, Unleashed, which we attribute with Gaia, and Frontiers, which we attribute with Orenos, are also credited as the beginning of everything, as the early events of both games predate everything thereafter. Their connection proves that the Sonic franchise was aware of and planning to dive back into Greek mythology for Frontiers. And let's be clear, we aren't saying that all future Sonic games will connect with Greek mythology from now on. Or that every past Sonic game will now just boil down into a one-to-one story about Greek gods and Greek myths. No. We're just saying that Frontiers is using it as inspiration for specific parts of its story. similar to how a game like Pokemon X and Y took inspiration from Norse mythology. This choice didn't result in the entirety of Pokemon taking a Norse mythological route, it just helped to solve some underlying mysteries within X and Y. Just how Greek mythology is helping us to solve some of the underlying mysteries within Sonic Frontiers. Speaking of these mysteries, up next is the origin of the Chaos Emeralds and the truth behind the end.
Alright, future Deviant Darks here. Apology for the garbage quality.
Yeah, we forgot to add this in the recording, so we're doing it now. We wanted to ask all of you, what's your favorite Sonic character?
But you can't pick Sonic or Shadow because they're too goated.
They're too much. So my favorite, after those two, would be,
You should say who's speaking because we sound the same.
Right, this is Dark speaking, by the way, and my favorite Sonic character, besides Sonic and Shadow, is Silver the Hedgehog.
And for me, Debbie, it's also Silver. So I guess if we don't count him, then maybe Eggman or Sage.
I think Silver counts, it's fine. Let us know in the comments what your favorite is, besides Sonic and Shadow.
We'd love to read it.
This is the ancient light. I'm Tikal. I am here to guide you.
Out of every mystery in Sonic history, none are as elusive and unknown as the Chaos Emeralds. They show up in almost every Sonic game, and yet, the most we've ever learned about them was from Tikal all the way back in Sonic Adventure.
I'm never to forget it. It goes like this. The servers are the 7 Chaos. Chaos is power, power enriched by the heart. The controller is the one that unifies the chaos. But I'm still not sure what it all means.
And here we are, over 2 decades later after the release of Sonic Adventure, and we still have no idea what Tikal's words mean. Okay, jokes aside, we actually do have an idea on what she could be saying. And that's all thanks to Sonic Frontiers.
This way!
The reason there was so much lore on the Chaos Emeralds and their involvement with Earth's first great civilization known as the Ancients, the reason we use the Chaos Emeralds in this game more than any other, the reason we have Sage questioning why Sonic can even use them.
How are you able to utilize the Chaos Emeralds?
And the reason why we even have a location in this game called Chaos Island. Now more than ever, the developers are trying to get us to question the Chaos Emeralds. Question what they are and where they come from. On the surface, it seems like the only thing we learn about the Chaos Emeralds in Frontiers is the fact that they come from space.
Be careful not to fall off.
More specifically that they arrived on Earth because of the Ancients who brought them here. But it's never actually stated that the Ancients were the ones who created the Chaos Emeralds. In fact, it doesn't seem like they fully understand the Chaos Emeralds at all, and what they can do. Like using them to transform, for example. It doesn't seem like they know that this is even possible. We know that biological beings like Sonic and even Chaos, an actual descendant of their species, can use the Chaos Emeralds to alter their forms and become stronger. But the Ancients only used them to power their machines. They also didn't understand why the Emeralds were reacting to the Master Emerald on Earth. They don't truly understand the power of the Chaos Emeralds. So if the Ancients didn't create them, then who or what did? This is the question that plagued our minds for days, but everything changed once we heard this specific line from the game's antagonist, the end.
Countless stars, countless worlds, countless lives. All fell to me, all brought to nothing. All the teeming chaos of creation, brought to order, to neutrality, to nothing.
This was said during the end speech during the game's original final boss battle, the teeming chaos of creation. This specific phrase stuck out to us as strange and yet familiar. It was at this time that we once again looked back to Greek mythology as a guide to help us, and that's when everything started to come together. While researching the Greek myth Ouranos to help us solve what the ancient symbol meant, we came across something peculiar. We learned that the Greek deities Ouranos and Gaia weren't actually the beginning of the Greek cosmos. Yes, they were the beginning of everything in terms of the first life, which were the Titans. But they are not the beginning of the universe. In fact, there is one single being that reigns above them.
This rocket will be launched vertically.
In Greek mythology, there is a primordial force, a vast and empty void of energy where all other divine beings emerged, an entity of creation. This being is known as Chaos. Chaos is existence itself. It is the creator of all things. And if the Sonic franchise is already taking inspiration from the Greek myths Ouranos and Gaia, then who's to say they aren't doing the same for the one that created them? What we are saying is that the origin of Sonic's universe begins with a deity inspired from the Greek primordial being, Chaos. The end said that all the teeming chaos of creation will be brought to order, to neutrality, to nothing. This line is literally the end saying how it wants to bring the creation brought about by chaos, its antithesis, down to nothing, acknowledging chaos as another force of the universe. And if this overwhelming force is known as simply the end, then it's telling us that chaos is the beginning. And this is where the Chaos Emeralds originate from. The reason they have limitless power, the reason they predate even the ancients, and the reason they can manipulate time and space. It's because they hold the power of everything. It's like Tikal said,
Chaos is power, power enriched by the heart. The controller is the one that unifies the chaos.
Gathering all of the Chaos Emeralds together is unifying the original power of the universe, the power of chaos itself, the creator of the universe. Now that we know that these Greek connections and frontiers help us solve the ancient symbol and the origin of the Chaos Emeralds, we can now look at the final mystery, the strangest antagonist ever added in a Sonic game. One that has been written off by the fanbase as nothing more than a weird and pointless addition, and yet its very presence gives us so many implications about Sonic's universe. It's time to talk about the end. But first, we need to quickly address the 3 Greek creation myths. These are 3 different accounts from Hesiod, Homer, and Orphism that explain how the Greek cosmos was created. But Hesiod's creation myth is known as the first complete account of the ancient Greek universe. The reason we're telling you this is because we believe that this creation myth is what inspired the Sonic franchise for both Unleashed and Frontiers. Those primordial beings we mentioned earlier, Chaos, Gaia, and Ouranos, they all come from the stories told in Hesiod's creation myth. But there is another story from this myth, a story that will help us solve the mystery of the end. This story is known as the 5 Ages of Man. It details 5 successive ages of humanity and their inevitable downfall.
Boom. The end. Start again. The world made clean.
Starting with the Golden Age, then followed by the Silver Age, Bronze Age, Heroic Age, and finally, the Iron Age. But why is any of this important, you may ask? Well, what if we told you that we believe that the Sonic franchise is using this story to help tell us what the end actually is, and what it means for the future of Sonic? And before writing us off completely, let us ask you, have you heard of the 4 Great Civilizations? This is a concept within the world building of Sonic, introduced in Sonic Battle, that has recently become a huge focus. In Sonic's world, there were 4 great civilizations who have all gone extinct over time. If you need a reminder, then let Professor Tori from the recent Tales Tube jog your memory.
Perhaps you'd like to continue our earlier conversation about ancient civilizations.
Yes, of course. Let's begin at the dawn of recorded history with the first great civilization. We know almost nothing of these ancient beings. I would give anything to know who they were and what their technology could do. Tens of thousands of years later, the second great civilization arose. They were known as the Gaians, and they constructed massive temples all around the globe. And yet, the cultures that live around them today remember precious little about them. To think such a vast empire could be lost to the sands of time.
And to the core of the planet.
As Professor Tori explained, the first and second great civilizations of Sonic's world were the Ancients and then the Gaians. And now the third great civilization still remains a mystery, but we do have an idea on who the fourth was thanks to this excerpt from Gerald Robotnik's journal from Shadow Generations. I discovered that there was a possibility that this robot was something incredible. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but this robot may be the cause of the destruction of the fourth great civilization. In this page of the journal, Gerald is referring to Emerald the Gizoid, and even though it's not directly stated who the fourth great civilization was, it's highly speculated to be the Echidna tribes. This is because in the game Sonic Chronicles The Dark Brotherhood, an Echidna tribe known as the Nocturnus clan created the Gizoids as war machines to fight against the rival Echidna tribe, who were Knuckles' ancestors. And now, because of a bunch of wacky, legal, and copyright jargon that we don't want to get into, this game's story may not be canon anymore.
Wait, what am I doing? I wasn't paying attention. Oh.
But it does seem that Shadow Generations is at least taking parts of that game and bringing it to light. Also, let's go back to the third great civilization real quick. We actually believe that they were the Babylonians. A group of them did crash land on Earth and settle in thousands of years ago. And according to the official Sonic timeline, they are placed neatly in between the extinction of the Gaians and the destruction of the Echidna tribe. So, if the four great civilizations in Sonic's world begin with the Ancients, then the Gaians, then possibly the Babylonians, and then the Echidna tribe, then that would place the modern-day humans and anthropomorphic animals in Sonic's present day as the fifth great civilization. Now, with all of that being said, we believe that we can make a connection between Sonic's 5 great civilizations and the Greeks' 5 ages of man. Not a one-to-one connection, but we can draw some parallels, because these parallels will help us understand one very important message. Everything will come to an end. The first civilization, the Ancients, share similarities with the first age of man, the Golden Age. The Ancients lived in peaceful harmony with each other, and so did the humans in the Golden Age. When the humans passed on, they roamed the Earth as guardians, and this parallels with the Ancients, as after they passed on, their guardians still occupied the Starfall Islands. In the Silver Age, humanity angered the gods and were wiped out by Zeus. And during the time of the Second Great Civilization, the Gaians were wiped out by the god Dark Gaia. The humans of the Bronze Age were engrossed in crimes of violence and war, which led to their own undoing. If the third great civilization is the Babylonians, then we can make a parallel, as the Babylonians were so engrossed in their crimes of thievery that they were destroyed by their own god. It was during the Heroic Age that the famous Trojan War took place and humanity died over time in search of glory. And the fourth great civilization was engulfed in a huge war between the rival Echidna tribes, each searching for glory. And finally, during the Iron Age, the modern time of Hesiod, mortals would know nothing of the gods and grow to be the most dangerous, selfish, cruel, and power-hungry. And in the fifth great civilization, the modern time of Sonic, knowledge of the gods is primarily unknown. And mortals like Eggman, Infinite, Gun Commander Abe, the Deadly Six, Shadow, and many more are all examples of this selfish and dangerous nature growing rampant. Obviously, these great civilizations in Sonic's history were not all made with Greek mythology in mind. But like we mentioned before, we believe Sonic is using these Greek stories to help inspire their own. And the story they're trying to tell us is about the inevitability of the end. Hesiod's 5 ages of man incorporate the theme of humanity's unfortunate fate. The first 4 ages, like the 4 great civilizations, all met their demise and became lost to history. That right there is the end. This character, this godly being, is a primordial force, similar to that of the creator god Chaos. But this force represents destruction, the end times, and it even describes itself as such.
I am inevitable. I cannot be denied. You strike this incarnation with all your might. It changes nothing. You are not brave. You are not victorious. No matter what form I take, the end comes for you all.
Sure, we defeated the giant purple space rock as Supersonic 2 at the end of Frontiers, but we didn't actually destroy the end. It can't be destroyed. It'll just come back someday, in another form at a different time.
You have fought machines and gods. They were mighty. They were finite. I am infinite. I am nothing.
Its voice lines are so vague and ominous. It's infinite and also nothing. Such a unique choice of words that make it seem omnipotent, ever-present. The end is a cycle.
Countless stars, countless worlds, countless lives, all fell to me, all brought to nothing.
So, if the end is inevitable, why hasn't it happened yet?
Nah, it's not gonna end. My stories only end when I stop running.
That's because of one hedgehog. One fast-moving, world-saving, chili dog-loving hedgehog. Sonic. Sonic is the reason that the end hasn't arrived. Every world-ending event stopped by Sonic. Every cataclysmic catastrophe foiled by Sonic. Sonic saves the world time and time again. And the reason? He holds the ultimate power of the universe. Whether it's by fate or pure luck, Sonic is able to wield the power of the Chaos Emeralds. The power of chaos, the creator of Sonic's world, and the antithesis of the end. But it begs the question. We still don't know why or how. Shadow makes sense. He was literally created by using the Chaos Emeralds. And Silver, well, just like Sonic, it still remains a mystery as to just why these two can fully wield this ultimate power. But we do know one thing. This ancient symbol, the Chaos Emeralds, the end, they're all connected. Connected through the inspiration of Greek mythology. All meant to tell the story of the beginning of Sonic's universe and its inevitable end. Okay, so, all of that in mind, there's something that needs to be addressed. It could just mean Zap.
That's pretty good.
Like straight up, that could be a Z, and then an A, and then a weird looking P. That's a weird looking P, dude. We said earlier that it looked like the ray gun from Call of Duty Zombies, and maybe it actually was supposed to be some sort of weird looking blaster, since the original title was supposed to be Sonic Rangers, and blaster Zap. So maybe that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
And as we wrap things up here, sorry. We'd like to take a minute to talk about the Sonic timeline, since we never did that yet. We are so proud of the Sonic developers and writers for taking on the impossible task of chronologically explaining all of Sonic's lore. Did I say proud? I meant terrified and feel sorry for them. Look, the Sonic lore is crazy, and we come from the FNAF and Kingdom Hearts communities.
Say, fellas, did somebody mention the door to darkness?
Calm down.
So we know what crazy lore looks like.
It doesn't matter.
The Sonic universe doesn't make any sense, and if a shred of our theory turns out to be true, then it makes things even more complicated.
Well, you got me. By all accounts, it doesn't make sense.
There is so much work that you would need to do to create an established and consistent lore with this franchise, especially considering that this timeline's entire existence tells us one extremely important thing, that the Sonic franchise is trying to solve everything. Every mystery, every retcon, every seemingly random decision made throughout Sonic's history will now be given an in-universe explanation that all connects under one central lore and story. Do you understand how impossible that sounds? Think about it for a second. The Sonic franchise was never meant to have a fully developed and connected lore like that of the Legend of Zelda series, or Kingdom Hearts. Yes, some Sonic games do connect with character arcs and stories, but if we're talking about overall Sonic mythos, there are just so many things that don't neatly fit together. We have magical gems like the Phantom Ruby from Forces, the Black Onyx from Superstars, the Warp Topaz from IDW, the Time Stones from CD, These are all canon and yet seem to have no connection or origin. Like the Chaos Emeralds, they just exist in Sonic's world without any true explanation. We have alien races like the Wisps, Babylonians, the Black Arms, and the Ancients who have all traveled the stars and have somehow, seemingly, never interacted with each other. But at the same time, at some point they all arrived on Earth. We have these godly beings like the Time Eater, Dark and Light Gaia, Illumina, because Sonic Shuffle is somehow canon now. Solaris, who is somewhat still present since its dark half Mephiles is stuck outside, or in between time itself. We have all these gods who control certain aspects of the universe, and are somehow either unaware of each other's existence, or just choose to not mention or interact with each other.
We're clearly not very good at this.
I know, we suck. I don't know how to work as a team.
Me neither. Well, I do. I have been in a team, okay? I don't want to brag, but I will. I was in the Avengers.
The Avengers?
Yeah.
That's great.
Thank you.
What is that?
Wait, you don't have the Avengers?
Is that a band? Are you in a band? No, I'm not in a band. No, the Avengers is Earth's mightiest. How's this helping?
Look, it's not important.
You even have unexplained things like Lost Hex, a floating planet just sitting in the atmosphere of planet Earth that somehow went unnoticed for centuries.
What's that in the clouds?
What? Must be the Lost Hex.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
You have Blaze, who was retconned to being from the future, but then re-retconned to being from another dimension again, which makes her inclusion in 06 very confusing. And we have the arcs in the IDW comics that still have to be integrated into all of this. Yes, we know that they're still working on this timeline. Yes, we know that the lore is a work in progress. I mean, clearly, because Silver's reintroduction to the main cast was explained in Sonic Rivals, and that game isn't even on the official timeline yet. But as of now, so many things don't neatly fit together. And you might be thinking, well, obviously all of these things won't fit together perfectly. They were each created by different teams and different writers, all for their own games and their own stories. And that's exactly our point. You can't just magically connect all of these things that weren't originally created to be connected. And yet, this timeline tells us that the Sonic franchise is trying to. They are trying to make sense of it all. Trying to make the impossible possible by creating an established lore that connects 30 plus years of Sonic history. That's why the Sonic franchise created an entire lore team, created an official timeline. They want to have a connected lore like that of the Legend of Zelda and Kingdom Hearts series. Because those two game franchises, while confusing at times, do have a fully connected lore that ties all of its mainline games together, under one central story with established worlds and established rules, albeit with a few retcons of their own here and there. All that being said, we are with you, Sonic developers and writers. Lore crafting in this series is hard, but like the official Sonic timeline, we aim to solve it all. Or at least certain parts of it.